Okay.
Well, thank you for inviting us, first of all.
Yeah, thank you. It's really great to be here. So my name is Pamela Aculey. I'm the co-founder of Mixed Reality, and this is Alex, my husband and co-founder. And we are a creative tech company that's on a mission of making books and learning more interactive, more intuitive and fun for children of different abilities. Okay. So our main mission is about reimagining reading with interactive, inclusive, augmented reality, so no child is left out of the story. As a Black woman, I know firsthand about the lack of representation in children's books. Growing up, I hardly ever saw myself represented. Also being autistic myself, again, that added a new layer to it. And I generally thought that by the time I became a parent and had children of my own, I could go into any bookshop or go online and find any book of an array of diversity when it comes to abilities and representation. To give you a little bit of background on what we do and who we are, so I'm a children's author and Alex is a product designer, but our mission is very much centred on lived-in experience. So we're also parents to 3 boys of mixed heritage, and the whole reason Mixed Reality came to fruition is because of our eldest son, Walter. So Walter was diagnosed with autism at the age of 4. He was non-speaking, so not a single word at all. And we realised at a very early age that books played a huge point for Walter's development. He liked books, he liked looking at the pictures, but to try and sit down with him and read a story from front to end did not happen. He was so disengaged, he was so bored, and we kind of got a little bit frustrated because every time we tried to sit down with him, after 2 seconds, he would get up and leave. And he always went back to his tablet. But there was one book in particular that Walter kept bringing to us about 10 times a day, no exaggeration. And he would always come to us with the same page open. And Alex and I just assumed that he wanted us to read the story for the 10th time that day. So we'll start reading the story. And that Walter would get super frustrated and sometimes throw the book on the floor and walk away. And we couldn't work out why he kept going to this same page until one day we took the time to actually look on the page. And on the page was a little boy holding a cup. And Alex said to me, "Do you think he's trying to tell us he's thirsty?" And I thought, actually, maybe he is. And lo and behold, that's exactly what he was trying to do. And then we realised that he was pointing to other books that had a bathroom on there or a park. And we realised that Walter was using the imagery as a way of communication. And that blew our mind. At the age of 4, this little boy who didn't use words to speak had found his own way of communicating his needs. So we thought, that is incredible. And Walter is an incredible child. But if you take away our story, the fact is that children's reading is in crisis. Only 1 in 3 children in the UK enjoy reading the lowest levels in 20 years. 1 in 5 children have special education needs and disabilities. And we know from lived-in experience that about 60% of SEND children struggle with traditional books. And 90% of parents of SEND children feel there are inadequate resources for their child. Now, just going back to that story with Walter, we kind of started to collate our own data. We realised that books played an important role in his communication. We realised that there were not enough books that had autistic or mixed heritage or diverse characters on there. And there were no children that looked like him or books that shared his experiences. So we thought we're going to change that. And that's how we started to build a children's picture book series called Just Like Me. Because we wanted every child to pick up a book and be like, that character, that story, that experience is just like me. A picture book series that champions diversity, inclusiveness, acceptance, and kindness. But we realised that for Walter, it wasn't enough just to have a picture of a child that looked like him. We wanted him to experience the world how he saw the world. And this is how we created our first book here, Buster Finds His Beat, which is about an autistic boy who absolutely loves music. Music is his way of expressing himself, but he also wears ear defenders because certain noises, everyday noises, for example, a motorbike going past, a balloon popping, or the hand dryer in a public toilet, can cause high levels of anxiety and sensory overload. So we wanted to have a picture book series where a child who is autistic can see themselves, but equally, a child who isn't autistic can learn about empathy, understanding, and kindness. And we thought the easiest way of implementing those values at a young age is through stories and through literature. But we wanted to make the book exceptional. We wanted to make the book more intuitive for children of different needs. So could you imagine when we created this book and we showed it to Walter? We were so excited to see his reaction. We thought, we've nailed it, we've cracked it. We sat down with him, we showed him the book, we waited for his reaction, and then again, he just walked away. And we were like, oh, so close, what are we doing wrong? And we looked and we realised that he'd gone straight back to his tablet again. And I said to Alex, what is it with his tablet? Why does he always keep going back to it? And we realised that when he was using technology, he was starting to mimic the sounds that he could hear. And for a child who was non-speaking, that was a huge milestone for us. He was trying to interact with what he was watching. Again, the communication, the understanding was on a different level. And Alex said to me, what about if we could make our books move, interact, have sound and animation? So we tried experimenting with pop-up books. Do you remember what pop-up books are like? Flaps and textures and things like that. So we tried that. And again, same response. It was a little bit fidgety for him. He got bored. He was disengaged. And I said to Alex, I just wish our book would be like tablets and they're interactive and they're immersive. And that's how we came up with the idea of creating a book that is interactive. Because we realised that books on itself aren't so much the problem, it's the format. And we needed books that spoke Walter's language. And that's how we created the world's first interactive and inclusive picture book, Buster Finds His Beat. So this is a little demo of how the book works. So you have the physical copy here, you download the app on your phone or your tablet, you place the screen over the pages, and it brings that static content to life where you can interact. And there's also 3D elements in there as well, which is kind of like a digital pop-up book to make sense. And this is what Walter needed, because to him, flat illustration content meant absolutely nothing. But to see a character move, to hear sounds, to have 3D concepts all in real time, it meant that it was relaying that information and hitting all the different senses. So visual, auditory, swiping, touching, actually moving and doing stuff as you're learning. And this was an absolute game changer for us. So Walter, at the age of 4, non-speaking, is now 12 years old, and he never stops talking. He's literally found his beat, he's found his voice. And for us as parents, we're so incredibly proud, because we were constantly told that he would never talk, he would never lead an independent life. And at the age of 12, he's now writing his own books, and he loves reading, and he loves technology. And for us, it was really important that we show how technology can be used for good, and how we can combine the real worlds and virtual worlds by using print and digital together. So we had some really good success when we launched Buster Finds His Beat. We had some great press. We went on Good Morning Britain and demoed the book, and we won awards. We started to have some conversations with publishers, and we started to build some really great momentum. But I think the most and the best kind of experiences that we had was by working with schools and students of all different backgrounds and abilities. And also, we are very creative people, but we're also really driven by data and science. Because it's not enough to have the wow factor. We're not here to impress, we want to make actual impact. And for the last 18 months, we've really kind of been trying to solidify those partnerships, working with schools, special education needs schools and mainstream schools, to kind of find out what are the barriers to reading for today's generation. So we've done some small micro focus groups, and with our school pilots, we found an 85% in knowledge retention, focus and enjoyment when using our AR book. And we knew that the results were going to be incredible, because when you think about it, we all know that as humans we learn in different ways, but yet traditional books are very much centered to a certain way of thinking. And it was really interesting to see children who are naturally shy become animated when they're using both the tech and the book together. Children are no longer passive readers, they're like active participants in the story. And it's been really incredible to see children smile wilder, become curious and more engaged, and a really great resource for teachers as well. One school in particular said to us, "It's a great book, yes, the tech is really impressive, but what has been the key thing for us is the conversations our students are now having about differences in a very open and engaging and impactful way." And for us, that's what we want to do. We want to make impact and make the whole reading journey more accessible and inclusive. So here are some pictures from some of our workshops that we've been participating in. And yeah, the tech is impressive, it is great, but it has to serve a real purpose. And this is the impact that we want to make here at Mixed Reality. And we know all of you, if you've got a modern mobile phone now and afterwards you can demo the book, you've got that technology built into your phones already, but we're not utilising it enough. And at Mixed Reality we want to show how that technology can amplify voices who have historically been forgotten in stories, and how we can open the minds up for the new generation when it comes to reading and learning. So this is a quote that I came up with after the end of doing our pilots, and I just want to share it with you. Because one of the key things I realised is that when you change the way a child experiences a story, you change the way they experience themselves. For so long, there's been so many children who have convinced themselves that they hate reading, that they can't reading, that they're not good enough at reading, because there's so many barriers in place for them. We're now stripping away those barriers and using technology as a force for good. So what is next for us at the moment? Some exciting things. We are working on some new books, new stories, new characters, new challenges, and using the AR as a way of amplifying those stories. We've had some great conversations here with University of Birmingham and some other educational tech people that we're working with as well. Again, I just want to share with you some of the feedback, because they're from different people and they kind of hit and land different ways. So the first one says, "The little boy I read it to yesterday had a smile at the end that we don't see that often. He rated the book 10 out of 10, which is always great. It's an absolutely brilliant idea. It's great for kids. It's a fun read, feel-good book." And then the last one, "My son is nonverbal and his face lit up using the AR app, priceless. He's become the narrator of the story." And that was from a mother to an autistic child. So we are a micro, tiny company, and the impact that we want to make, we know is going to be huge. We want to partner with the same people who realise and value the work that we're doing. And together we know that we can make such a huge fundamental shift when it comes to reading, when it comes to education, and when it comes to learning. So yes, we've got some more books in the pipeline, but one thing that we're really looking forward to is, how can we scale this? How can we make this bigger? How can we stretch the impact, not just here in the UK, but globally? And this is what we're currently working on at the moment. And I'll let Alex tell you a little bit about that.
Yeah, so like we say, one book is not enough. More 3 books is not enough. They're what we're producing, but what we want to do and what we found is that due to the impact of augmented learning, we want to make it more accessible to the world. It's fine one business creating some books and getting them out there, we're spreading the word and we're proving our message. But what we want to do is we want to democratise AR. Now, the reason we set up our business is we started showcasing our books. We started taking them to exhibitions, people were buying them, and then authors and illustrators and other people started to come up to us and say, "Oh, can you do that with my stuff?" And we were like, "Well, yeah, of course we can. But the problem is, and when it comes down to it, is every single thing that we make currently at the moment is bespoke. So therefore the cost is quite high. So when somebody comes to you, they're an independent author, they really want to use augmented reality to boost the sales of their book, and we say, yeah, okay, that's £10,000 to do your book. They're going to be like, thanks guys, love the idea, we're not going to be able, but that's not really going to work for a small independent. Even when we're talking to the large publishers, they're looking at all their return on investments, and they want to be able to not have to spend £10,000 on a book and then make sure they make that sales back just by having it an augmented reality book. So the exciting thing that we're working on currently at the moment is we're creating a SaaS platform that anybody who owns content for augmented, for any content, any illustrations, any pictures, what they can do is they can go onto our platform, they can upload their content. Using AI, we can recognise what the content's got in there, whether it's like, at the moment we're concentrating on like bipedal characters, humanoid characters, or a dog standing up, it doesn't make a difference, like Bluey or whatever you would like to call anything else like that, or Teletubby for those old ones in the room. And what it will do is recognise it, and then using a large language model and assisted prompting, it'll say, what do you want this character to do in this story? So in the story, you might have seen, there's Buster who's creeping across the bathroom, which is one of the ones we showed earlier, and we can have a look in the book as well. But the picture's already there of him creeping. So what we can then do is animate that picture and make it look like he's creeping across that background. And then once the publisher or whoever is the content owner is happy with it, they can do all the pages of their book, depending on a subscription model, whichever they take out. And they can pass that out to the companion app. And so that anybody that has the app, anybody that has bought their book, they can get the augmented reality overlay on their books. Then it's down to the publisher whether they want people to charge for the content or whether they put it out for free. But as a subscription model, it means that it gives access to anybody. Instead of £10,000 up front, it's £20 a month to create 5 books. Or what's even better is we can even white label the product and we can give it out to publishers so they can just create all their own content in-house. This way it kind of fully democratizes the way that people can access augmented reality without the bespoke price tag. And this is where we're aiming at. So this model utilises our own AI model that we're working on currently at the moment and training it to understand characters and create animations, as well as using building in some prompts in there to help people say, do you want it to jump? Do you want this character? What do you want this character to do? Where do you want it to go from? So they don't have to sit there and write an entire essay about what they want to happen on that page, and then so by the AI model will start to learn what it wants to do and then ask you questions back to make sure that you get the results you want the sort of first time. So this is where we're aiming for. This is the world in which we're aiming to do, that anybody can create content. It can be teachers, it can be schools, it can be publishers, it can be brands, it can be digital artists, because it also works over screens. You can have digital artwork that then comes to life on your screen, outside of your screen. It can work with art galleries. We're currently working with an artist and bringing his work to life further from the painting to learn and understand, instead of a little plaque by the side of it, which tells you a little bit about the person. You can actually experience that person by the sounds and by other things happening and by interacting with their artwork in an environment. So the future for us is incredibly exciting. Yes, more books are needed, but we also want to help everybody else get the books out there and the content that they want out there into the world as well.
Yeah, so I think it's we have got big goals. I think the key thing for us as a business is that the use of the technology has to be intentional. It can't be seen as gimmicky or something that just kind of has a wow factor but it has no substance behind it. And this is why we're working really hard to create research and partner with universities to get that research, to actually show the long-term benefits of it as well, not just for children who are have additional needs, but all children regardless. And it's also, for us, we're really excited to keep, the beauty of a book, because books are really important. And I think also, as a parent, I will let you in on a secret, before I had children, I genuinely thought I was going to be one of these parents who was just like, my children are not having any technology at all. Do you know what I mean? And then I became a parent, and motherhood humbled me very quickly. But then it also made me realise the fact that Walter had used technology in a completely different way. It wasn't like this mindless scrolling, this doom scrolling. He was looking for a connection, and the technology and the AR provided that connection for him, so much so that he learned to speak through using technology and books together. And that is something that is so incredibly powerful. I think the biggest hurdle that we have at the moment is that there is still this misconception about what AR, augmented reality, is and what it does. Also, we're having to really change behavioural habits, especially within like parents and children and publishers. So for example, publishers know that reading for pleasure is on a fast decline. They've known this for like the last 4 years. And they're a very traditional industry. So they're looking at ways of how we can get more books into hands and more children excited about books. But they are also quite fearful of technology. And technology and books haven't necessarily historically gone hand in hand. And now we are here saying, yeah, they can work, they can mirror and complement each other. So it is a case of changing behavioural habits. And I think for us as a business, the only way we can do that is to show the long-term benefits of how augmented reality can help with engagement and focus and retention. And you're not taking away the beauty of a book or a story, because fundamentally it is the story that is the key, that is the most important factor here. But if you have a great story, but you have children who cannot connect with that story for various reasons, then it kind of feels a little bit meaningless. So we're here to bridge that gap with augmented reality. So yes, that's literally about it. This is what we're doing. This is our why, our reason. It's really important for us to kind of explain to people when we meet them why we created it. I think the story element is really powerful, and it really kind of puts things into perspective. And it's also showcasing the world that we're moving towards now. There is, two truths can exist at the same time. Books can be really important, technology can be equally important, and we're showing how the two can coincide with each other. So yeah, that's it. Thank you for listening. If you want to connect with us, there is the QR code. And if you have any questions or you want to demo the book, then